So, today is Memorial Day. And Memorial Day is like a remembering military people type thing. So, I would like to memorialize a military person in my life. My grandpa. I met my grandpa when I was very, very young. He always terrified the shit out of me. I don't know why. I have no clue. He was never mean, never cruel. Man's never said a cross word, as far as I know, in my life. Never did around me. Never raised his hand or even his voice to me. No clue. No clue in the world why I was so terrified of him. But I was scared of him. I don't know why. And, he had a lot of weird mannerisms. Like, he would always sit in his chair and he would like hum to himself. He would just go, That's it. Like, it wasn't a tune or anything. It was just, That's it. He would just sit and hum to himself. And he would take, he had his salt shaker. He'd take the salt shaker and periodically he would shake the salt into his mouth. And after a while his hearing kind of went and he got a hearing aid. And he would take his hearing aid out to watch TV. So he would just turn the TV up really loud. The point of the hearing aid was so that he didn't have to turn the TV up really loud. But I think his hearing aid was kind of shit. It was, after all, like the 80s and 90s, so yeah, I think his hearing aid was kind of shit, and I think that the TV fucked with it. I don't know. But he would always take his hearing aid out so he could watch TV. And, yeah, he was just a guy. Like, he just kind of was there. He just did his thing. He always loved me very much. You know, he never shied away from making sure that was known. He would always ask me if I wanted a haircut like his. He always had this really tight buzz, military cut. And he would always ask me if I wanted a haircut like his. And I would say, no, Grandpa, I don't want a haircut like yours. They'd keep him from asking me. And now, I got a haircut like his. What are you going to do? And he always came to like my shows whenever I was in musicals and stuff like that, show choir competitions and shit like that. He always tried to make it to as much of that stuff as possible. He was always very supportive of me and everything. And one of the things, like, you know, when he wasn't scary for no reason, was he had this book of tanks, right? And we would look through this tank book, right? And he would show me all about these kick-ass tanks and all the things that they could do, and you know, the minesweeper tanks, and this tank is a bridge, and this tank does this, and this tank can go underwater. And, oh my God, all the tanks. And he seemed to know everything about tanks. And when he passed away, at his funeral, I learned why he knew so much about tanks. Apparently he was a tank commander in World War II. Who'd fucking know? I didn't until he was dead. So I found out the man was a tank commander. I don't remember which armored infantry division, that 5th, 9th, who even knows. And yeah, he got the Bronze Star. And the way that he got the Bronze Star was they were pulling people out of some French city. And he was pulling out all the military personnel. You know, load them up on the tank, drive on down, right? And he was ferrying out military personnel. And then after the military personnel was all gone, he started ferrying out civilians. And he just emptied the city. He just took everybody out of it. And they gave him the Bronze Star for that, for, above and beyond the duty and that sort of thing. And it was while he was doing that, I think they were taking the last load or some shit like that. And it was night. He went out to go and have a cigarette. Now at night, in a war zone, it's a bad time to be a smoker. Because you have to light a cigarette with fire. Fire creates light. Funny thing about light at night, shows where your position is. Funny thing about snipers, they love that kind of shit. So do people that do mortars. So he did the smart thing, smart as he can, and he bent over so as to, cause as little light as possible. Because he was bent over, the shrapnel from the mortar only went into his back, didn't go through his torso. Because that thing would have cut him in half if he was standing up. And it was just, you could still see it, not now, but even all, as long as I'd known him, it was in his back. It was this big black hunk of metal that was under his skin and his back. Very gross. But, yeah, so got hit with shrapnel. That was how he got his Purple Heart. The hospital he was in, this was around New Year's, and all the doctors were drunk as all hell and having a New Year's party. Nurse came over to him, asked him what in the hell he was still doing there. And he said, well, I'm waiting for a doctor to sign me out. She said, all the doctors are drunk, it's New Year's, you're never going to get signed out. And he said, well, I got a ticket to go home. And she's like, well, and I hope I'm not getting anybody in trouble here, but she forged the doctor's signature so my grandpa could get on the plane and get the hell out of there. And from what I hear, the next day, that hospital was shelled to the earth and everybody was dead. And from what I understand, he never talked about any of this kind of stuff to me, but from what I understand, the memory of that nurse and the fact that she had died the day after she saved his life, that was the thing that always bugged the living shit out of him. And I can understand why. Because fuck. But, hey, that's what happens. And, yeah. And that's really the only, military, I'm sure that there are oodles and oodles of stories about my grandpa and things that he did in World War II and stuff like that. It was a story my grandmother told me that he had a pair of French dueling pistols in a little case. And the way he got those was, I guess he was in France, and he was walking along in some French town, and there was two guys and a box that was laying open and upside down. And the two guys both had French dueling pistols. And the box, we gather, was where the dude that was supposed to be there, officiating over the duel, had just dropped it when the two guys shot each other, and he just fucking took off. So my grandpa took the guns, put them in the box, and had French dueling pistols. And I guess he had a Luger and a Nazi flag and all that kind of crap. The stuff that the guys just nab whatever they could over there back then. But, yeah. Let me get a picture of the maiden so you can see him. A couple of grandpa mementos. There he is. Look at him. How handsome he was in his little uniform. There's my grandpa. And I got this too. This, I don't know how well this is gonna film, but where is he? I think it's this big ass wood thing. Up in the center there, you see the tank. And there's my grandpa. Pop, pop, right there next to the tank. Yeah, there's this whole platoon or whatever. Maybe it says something on it. Company A, 34th Tank Battalion, 1944, January. Yeah. Bam. 34th Tank Battalion. Yeah. There you go. And he used to whittle. He used to whittle all the time. He used to whittle little donkeys. He whittled all sorts of stuff. He would whittle like the old men with the rain hats and shit like that, and he would whittle little donkeys, and he would whittle cranes. He would whittle all manner of stuff. And they got into painting Indian statues for a while. They were big into Native American stuff. I don't know why. But yeah, my grandpa, man, he was a cool guy. I don't know why I was always so terrified of the man. But even kind of like into adulthood, I was always just scared of the guy. I don't know why. It never made any sense to me why. Even when it was going on, it never made any sense to me why. But like it wasn't like I didn't trust him. It was just this awe I had about him. I was just scared of him. He was just this larger than life figure to me. You know, he was the most A-type personality that I'd ever met in my life. Only because I'd never known who he was, and he just started talking to me, and I don't know. He was just, I don't know. He's just a scary guy to a young kid. He was just an old man. And, yeah, I always loved him. Like, it wasn't like that. It was just, I don't know, it was weird. But, yeah, so, that's my grandpa. George Baker. That was his name. I don't know his rank or anything like that. Again, he never talked to me about the war. Apparently, he never liked to talk about the war. Apparently, he had terrible dreams. Had a bad time sleeping. And there was some times where I'd hear him kind of cry out in the night and shit like that whenever I'd stay the night at Grandma and Grandpa's. But, war as hell. And, yeah. I don't know. I don't know anything else about his record. All I know is those stories. I don't even know the story of how he got the Luger. He just got a Luger. I imagine he killed a German. He took his Luger. Found a dead German, took the Luger. One or the other. Yeah. But, yeah. So, he had all sorts of medals. He had Silver Star. Or, not Silver Star. Bronze Star. Bronze Star, Purple Heart. And then I think he just had, like, all types of, like, Theater of War medals and stuff like that. My mom has those in a shadow box. I don't have any of the medals. I have a donkey. I always liked this donkey. I always used to play with it when I was a kid. Then my grandpa passed away, my grandma gave it to me. He said, you always used to play with this donkey. I said, yeah. And that was when I got the pictures and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, my grandpa was a tank commander in the Army, World War II. And on this day, we remember him. So yeah, leave your memories if you want to take the time to type out any memories you might have about relatives that were in the military, stuff like that, or your own. military anecdotes, if you got them, put them in the comments section. I love hearing about those sorts of things. I love hearing old war stories. I don't know why. They're so interesting. They're always so very interesting. There was a book. I cannot remember what it was called. But it was all just stories from Vietnam. Just random stories, random people that were in Vietnam, and like things that had happened to them while they were over there. And yeah, that was a good read. The first story of it was Day's first day, and him and all the new recruits, they're all standing in line waiting to get checked in, and all the older guys are looking at him like, these motherfuckers. And, you know, they're all playing grab ass and shit like that in the line, and chopper comes in, doesn't even land. It just kind of gets low enough to just stall and land, you know, sit there, and then they just chuck off all these body bags off of the side of the helicopter, and all the new guys are just looking at it like the doctor looked at it, was like, welcome to war, boys. And that was how they started the book, and I was like, holy shit, it just got better from there. Oh, I mean, you know, the story's got a hell of a lot more interesting, at the very least. But yeah, so I don't know. Happy Memorial Day. I hope everybody's having a good day off, having hot dogs, hamburgers, and all that sort of thing. And I'll see you guys later. Bye.